Hi, dear friends. Hello, respected colleagues. My name is Anton. I am a developer, project manager, business analyst, enterprise architect, and entrepreneur. Moreover, I am a follower of model-driven development practically all my professional life. I would like to represent my idea for you. My startup project called by working name HyperObjects. HyperObjects is a platform that implements MDD, the model-driven development approach, but on the advanced or theoretical level than all already known tools. Model-driven development means that at the start of a project, you should create some digital model of the resolving business task and related business processes, and use this model as a primary information source for all other developed system components. Now I am showing an example of the conceptual business model. This modeling approach was developed 40 years ago and is still widely and successfully used. As you can see, the conceptual model consists of blocks called entities and connections among them called relationships. Entities can represent any real business objects, notions, and actions. Relationships of different types describe real relations between those objects. In sum, this modeling theory allows us to model any real-life systems or processes regardless of their complexity or scalability. One of my know-how is that I extended this conceptual model theory slightly, resolved several abstract ambiguities. As a result, you don't need to develop any derivative components from the model anymore. The HyperObjects platform can run models as program code. It's enough to create a conceptual model of a business idea, plug this model into the HyperObjects platform, and launch it as a ready-made business application. Currently, I am going to show you how my platform works and looks at the example of the already modeled customer system. Now you can see the unified object manager. It doesn't look like a modern professional interface because it was made hastily, especially since I am not a UI developer. Undoubtedly, this interface should be dramatically improved in the future. However, it can show the basic principles of my system's work. In the left sidebar, you can see a hierarchical object tree. It affords navigation through the object hierarchy and access to the required object or a list of objects. In the root of the hierarchy, you can see the name of the application. This object core was a part of the online warehouse for a real estate company. In the central area, we can open an objects list with the ability to filter the objects, change their order, and so forth. In the object set node, we can create, delete, or open any object. When you open a specific object, UI gives an ability to read and update the object's properties. The interface isn't accomplished, but it already empowers us to manage a business model of any complexity with any amount of data. Also, you don't need to write any code to implement this functionality because HyperObjects constructs this interface dynamically from the original conceptual model on the fly. Behind the unified UI, there are unified backend services, which communicate with UI by unified JSON format. This means that you can develop your own UI as you like or quickly connect any external system to my platform. Besides, you don't need to write code to implement this interface on the platform side. You just need to create a model. Currently, I am going to show you a real example of a geographical module that is already implemented in this application. This module realizes the geographical administrative pattern of any European country. Right now, it contains information about one of the Russian regions, although it can be either Germany or Poland as well. In the root of this geographical module, you can see the set of countries. Each of the countries is divided into federal states or lands. Each of the states divided into regions. Regions can be divided into counties, districts, and so on. Each of these administrative territory divisions can contain its own cities, towns, villages, settlements, etc. Right now, you can see the graphical model of this module. For this specific demo purpose, I used SAP Power Designer to draw graphical diagrams, but Power Designer is not a part of my project. The HyperObjects platform doesn't need to use this graphical representation. It just needs to get an XML model of the developing system as a source of all further processing. Let me explain this graphic model a bit. The basis of all entities in the model is some superclass that implements a certain basic functionality of all business objects in the system. It provides much information: brief caption, name of an object, its description, creation and update date time, references to the creator and updater, etc. In the majority of cases, this functionality is enough to satisfy business requirements for new business notions. You just should create a new empty entity and inherit it from the superclass. So you can see that the whole model consists of lightweight entities that don't extend almost the basic functionality. There are countries, regions, settlements, business entities. Additionally, we have two dictionaries. One for regions classification. It contains administrative territory statuses: state, land, region, county, district. Also, one for settlement classification: city, town, township, village, station, settlement, and so forth. At the same time, there is a lot of relationships and inheritance structures that implement the necessary business logic. Nevertheless, the model is uncomplicated and understandable, and this is enough to build and run a ready-made administrative geographical subsystem. This schema is sufficient information for the HyperObjects platform to provide the functionality that I've shown you before. You don't have to write a single line of code at all. Now I propose to conduct an experiment in real time and see how can I change something in this functionality or add new business value. Moreover, how long will it take? Let's consider a situation when your business brings you a new user story. As a user of the geographical module, I would like to have a list of streets for each settlement in the system. If we decompose this task, it looks like we should create two new business entities. Firstly, the street entity with unique ID, full name, and caption of the street. Secondly, street type classifier. Street type is another dictionary which will contain values such as street, avenue, square, alley, and all that. In the world of modern Java enterprise development, this means that we should create tables in the database, two Java business models, data access layer, service layer, two REST controllers, REST API with Swagger documentation, front-end part consisting of list, web forms, controllers, and so on. We should cover all this code by tests which double all our work. I gave this task for an estimation to several of my acquainted IT project managers. The minimal estimated amount of work was 2 man-days. In the beginning, we had an elementary business requirement in one sentence, as a result of which we've come across a costly, lengthy, complicated implementation process for several days. These are the main reasons why enterprise software development is still not available for small and medium-sized business. The modern development approach is still manual, unpredictable, too risky, time-consuming, and expensive. Let's see how quickly we can implement this user story using the HyperObjects platform. I'm going to take our existing geographical model as a start point. Also, I've started the stopwatch to measure the elapsed time. I'm creating a new diagram to do not override the existing model. Let me call it Real Tourist Streets, and I copy the existing geographical diagram to the new sheet. I'm turning the default color of our new entities and relationships into the red to highlight them against the background of already developed model. Let's create a new street entity and inherit it from our superclass. It seems that we don't need any additional attributes for this entity, because the superclass already contains everything to outline the concept of the street for our task: name, short caption, unique ID. Let's create a dependent relationship between street and settlement. Each settlement can contain many streets, but each street belongs only one parent settlement. I am adding a street type entity and it's also inherited from our superclass. Moreover, my platform contains a set of predefined general using classes. They can be marked like a stereotype on the diagram. Street type is the case of a simple generic dictionary. This is another situation when we don't need any additional attributes for this entity. The final touch: we should create a relationship from the street entity to the street type entity. Each street can only refer to one street type, but we can have many streets of each type. It looks like that's all. Our new model is ready. I've saved it. Currently, I'm going to show you how to apply our updated graphical model to the existing system. I just should launch the HyperObjects command line generator to convert the XML model into an executable application. I'm sometimes going to press the pause button to stop the executing of the generator to explain to you what's happening on my screen. At the same time, I will stop the stopwatch to measure the elapsed time accurately. Right now, you can see how our XML model is turning into an internal platform model, which consists of three components. The first component is the metadata of the internal model. My platform stores all information about the original conceptual model in the specialized system tables and uses them at runtime. The second component is data structures in the database for storing business data. My generator has updated the existing database design. The third component is the Java code of the new business model entities and interfaces. Right now, you can see the process of building and deployment of the updated business model. I want to emphasize especially that we need to recompile only the business model. All other parts of the platform remain unchanged, tested, and robust. We don't need to redeploy them. The last step is starting of the server with the HyperObjects platform. It will take some time, but this is a real-time experiment, and I propose waiting for the results for a clean time measurement. Moreover, it does not take more than 30 seconds. I've stopped my stopwatch because our development is complete. All process has taken only 3 minutes. HyperObjects platform has been updated and started successfully. Now we can recheck what has changed in the UI. You can see that street types have appeared in the Geo module. And inside any settlement, you can find the aggregated list of settlement streets. Of course, both datasets are still empty. Let's fill them. For the simple dictionary street type, I should just click the Create button, fill the form, and save the new object. Also another one. That's all. We have had several street types in our model. The same population process for the streets is a little bit tricky, because current UI doesn't allow me to edit references among objects. My REST API is fully functional, but the current UI implementation limits me to do it through the graphical interface. So I'm going to send a REST request by curl to my unified REST controller. Let's see in the UI what has changed. You can see that the first streets have appeared in the settlement. We have tested successfully that users of our application have the ability to create, update, and read the set of streets of any settlement in our geographical module. Instead of initially estimated 2% days, our user story has been completed successfully in 3 minutes. Besides, I have not written a single line of code, just add our formalized user story to the original conceptual model. You have seen with your own eyes that my development method is fast, efficient, and very simple. This means that the HyperObjects platform can make the enterprise development process widely available, predictable, and inexpensive. Also, I would like to highlight other implicit but very important advantages of the proposed approach. Robustness. Main platform still unchanged, stable, and reliable. The generator has changed only a couple of simple classes from the business model. We don't need to step down to the low-level manual coding. Pre-assembled scalable architecture. My platform runs on a modern, already assembled architecture based on open source frameworks and servers. It can be scaled from a desktop application to a large-scale web data center with hundreds of servers, depending on workload. Unlimited ability to integrate the HyperObjects core with external systems. My platform provides native access to any internal business data through the unified REST API. Moreover, HyperObjects are implemented internally as a set of Java Spring services, and you can embed my platform to your Java application seamlessly. Documenting. All changes begin from updating the initial conceptual model, and you cannot get around this step. In turn, the conceptual model is an excellent formalized documentation of all business ideas. As a result, you will be forced to keep your documentation up to date. You can dramatically reduce the size of your development team. The maximum that you really need is a team consisting of a business analyst to create a conceptual model, one back-end developer to customize business logic, and one front-end developer for customizing UI. Finally, I would like to draw some conclusions. I've shown you my HyperObjects platform in action. It already exists and works, however, it needs a lot of improvements. You saw how it could streamline and accelerate modern enterprise development. Definitely, my demo example was artificially simplified. Developers using my platform in genuine circumstances will have to write business logic, customize UI, resolve integration and architecture issues. Nevertheless, applying my method for real projects already speeds up their implementation approximately 5 times. HyperObjects can save a lot of nerves, time, and money during enterprise development. My platform reveals a direct, quick, and easy way from a new business idea through a conceptual model to a working business application. I believe that my project is a real ground-shake innovation, which can change the modern enterprise development globally. That's all. Thanks a lot for your time and attention. I will appreciate any questions, advice, feedback, and suggestions. Moreover, maybe you will be interested in further cooperation around my startup project. I wish you all the best. Bye.